它就可以开始 record。就是 record 我们记录它讲所有的东西。对，到时候我们就可以发链接那样来的。哦，挺好，挺好。Thank you。我们去拿点水给他们啊。Thank you。这里面有水了是吗？Just let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So, are there going to be people in the room?
I'm not sure because we start 11:30.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah, it's really early.
Yeah, but already have okay, give me 1 second. Have 2 people online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I know I knew.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We already have 2 people there.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Do you know how add? Sometimes people come here have a screen and
Yeah.
you know how add people join.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to click on stuff because that's not a mouse. It's like an eraser. Yeah.
Same thing. If they are joining.
Whoa, that is so cool.
Is that a mouse?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like Spaceville.
It's a space mouse.
Small.
I'm not sure how to click on anything though. There we go. This is so, I want one of these.
Really? Is that great? Is the font different? Has it always been like?
This is the one you sent me that I put in.
Oh, it's hot water.
Oh, that's nice. Next week, the next 3 days that we're on the road, it's supposed to rain every day.
Where are we going on Tuesday?
San Jose.
And then Wednesday, Fresno. And then Thursday. Mostly real agents on their home because they're not all the area.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, yeah, they're online.
We're all good. Got all set up and
Oh, okay,
everything.
good,
Yeah.
good. Oh,
Mhm.
do you have more? If have agents want to join, we have what is it? I just today we switched before the Xin management for presentation. Right now it's me, so I'm the new. So if you don't know, ask me. I will ask how to say.
There's one person that's waiting.
Oh
It looks
yeah,
like
yeah,
I can
just
admit
yeah,
them.
yes. Cook, yeah, yes. Okay,
Cool.
thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and
Thank you for the hot water.
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Oh, you like hot
I
water?
like
Yeah. We're chatting. Or I like hot water. Sorry. Oh, we have here.
Mhm.
I think it's outside have hot. I don't know about the heater. I guess today. Not we have outside.
That's good.
I just today. I will give you a. Oh, I don't have you say. I have my email and phone number, but I don't have business card. I have business card just for electronic, not
Oh.
for yeah.
Well,
because
you can text. Can you send me? I'll send you my
yeah,
information.
yeah. I have your email. Yeah, I have your. I did advertise for your today coming.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I have. I need your. Maybe we can send a message. Yeah, easy. Yeah, sometimes they have blue, so you can cook. Then have more agents join. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Yes, I can call you. Your phone number? I can call you. Can I call you?
Oh yeah, sure. It's 925
5,
260
6, 0,
0319.
0, 0. My name is Connie. Yeah, so okay now. Oh, did you get it? So I can
I
see that.
gotcha.
Okay, that's good.
831.
Yeah. I will. Yeah, your old number. So I will give you a message. So my business card. Your name a little bit longer. I can't remember. Sorry.
Leilana.
M.
Leilana. I just texted you.
Oh. Thank you. Oh, okay.
Leilana. It's like mail you have in your mailbox. MAIL. And then Anna.
You live East Bay?
Yes.
Oh, because I saw your phone number.
Yeah, 925.
Yeah. My phone number is Venus long time ago, couple years. Because mostly Chinese, we all have WeChat, so we just send the how to say a business card on WeChat. Oh, more people come. Oh, that's not. Did you get my message?
I did.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just today.哎呦，昨天祝贺礼卖了4礼吧，还有打电话也不接，找不到你在哪个。哎，欢迎，来要水吗？我们水在这个杯子这个正方面，这里有。
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Sorry. Please have a sandwich.
Oh, too early.
Too early?
Oh yeah. Too early for it's never too early for lunch.
你见过面？你现在啊，来一段时间。
没有热水还是冷水？热水的话，热水的话从外面去打。如果是凉的话，就热的吧。还在我。
So I was trying to share my contact information and I see that it's got all my personal information.
Oh, geez.
It like tries to add all that. Why would you do that?
How to say sorry?
Melana.
Melana, sorry. 也
That's
是
okay.
音对吧？音，这是音，这是就是收的big house, yeah.
Congratulations.
哦，你帮我把哦 that's good, yeah. A happy Christmas, yeah. You're good.
Good job.
Yeah, good
Congratulations.
job, yes. 我打你电话，然后找你在哪个群里，因为群我找不到你，祝贺你，告诉你，你电话也不接，你不接我电话。
知道陌生电话，我们接他都是微信的，微信嘛。
微信里我也找你了，我不给你写了嘛，你都不理我，真写了，你给我弄到那个 top 去了。这个你哪个账号啊？哦，这是另外一个，还有一个。你是不是加我另外的群？没有啊，什么时候呀？你不跟我说了嘛？对啊，我看到了。那个费用他不行，我不是费用，微信上面跟你说了吗？另外一个微信有两个微信号，另外一个微信我跟你说了，两个微信号，不是这个。
这个。
对啊，你看我打你电话对吧？要不是。
这个没错。
不是这个，我有4个，我7个微信号。
我知道。
哎，对。这是另外一个微信号。你这个是。对，你跟我说了。我觉得这里的检查是中国人选的新中国之间，一定要我在这里来跟他们那个并不没有。哎，因为他们
我说了。
哎，互相认识一下。
啊。
他是那个认识哪里？
是啊。
石城。你是我问一下，他老婆的爸爸给他费来，在这里银还是中国银行？你跟他们有区别，因为我他们应该就是这里。
就是我老公的爹啊，得了肺癌晚期，早点查出来，然后上国内，他做国内普通工人，一些医保，可是他非要弄到这里，他就说这个期望，其实那种晚期做到底是吗？是啊，可是他不服啊。他是说不是我的亲爹，我谁都没有；是我的亲爹，我也要面对现实。
How are you?
Very good.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Shashi.
I'm Meilana.
Uh,
Nice to meet you. Chang-Shi. Got it. Here's mine.
You should come to the office.
Thank you.
Oh, Ying Wei. Hi. Thanks for having us. You don't usually come to the office, lucky me.
Yes.
Why did you come today?
Actually, there are a lot of things that come together.
Come and listen.
Yes, come and
Good. Learn
don't have to
something.
do anything else. Well,
Good. Well, you can eat lunch. Later. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's early. We talked about this already. Are you coming? I sent you my contact information. You got it? Okay. Hello. And thank you for having me. Well, I'm talking about new laws today. There's a new, by the way, this is Lauren. Lauren
Hi.
brought you lunch.
How are you?
She brought the sandwiches. And my name is Meilana, and I have been property ID's lawyer for 21 years. And I am the past president of the real estate section of the Bar Association on the East Bay. And before that, I did divorces in Los Angeles, which was really good money and really awful. Okay, so first thing, the governor signed Assembly Bill 38 into law. And what this law will do is it will require that a seller must write down all the things the seller has done in order to prevent fire in the house. So for example, seller has to say, I cleared all the brush from the property. I removed branches that are overhanging on a chimney. I've removed everything from the gutters. I have fire retardant materials. You know, basically that's a new law in the state of California. And there you go. So do any of you have rental property? Residential or commercial? Okay, so then you do know already, and it's been the law for a year, that you are legally required to disclose if the property is in a special flood hazard area, the rental, or that it's in potential flooding because of dam failure. Yeah, you know this. Okay. Did you also know that you are legally required to disclose this information in Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, or Tagalog? I brought a sample of the property ID renter report in Vietnamese. Anybody wanted to have a look? Do you have Chinese?
I only brought Vietnamese with me, but we do it in Chinese also.
So you have online, you have Chinese?
This is the renter report.
Renter, oh,
Yeah, the renter report. By law, upon request of your tenant, you are required to provide this information in Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, or Tagalog. Okay? So do you ever get on Nextdoor? You get on Nextdoor? Have you heard of Nextdoor? No? Well, it's like Facebook, but the people on Nextdoor, there we go. Yeah, they're not your friends.
It's an app? It's kind of app?
It's an app, yeah. They're not your friends. Anyway, I'm not trying to promote this Nextdoor. I just want to tell you something that happened. So I was on Nextdoor in my neighborhood on the East Bay, and a lady. And by the way, Nextdoor, you know, they talk about like all the missing cats and.
They're not heard.
What?
they cannot hear
Yeah, it start already?
started meeting.
You started? We already start? Because we have agents ask what is start?
We're starting.
Oh, they not.
Maybe they should push unmute. Anyway, so Nextdoor. I don't know. Is there something she can do? You go check this. Okay, so there you have it. So this lady moved into my neighborhood, and she posts on Nextdoor
I'm new in the neighborhood. I bought my house. I closed escrow, 5 months ago. And now there's a crack developing in the dining room and the floors in the foyer are sloping. And I'm asking my neighbors, is this common in the neighborhood? Is this because of all the rain we had, and then we had drought all this time? Or is this just me? And I'm reading this. I said, wow, that's just you. But another lady in the neighborhood commented this, quote, I would go after the seller, but go hard on the realtor. The realtor is the expert and should have made sure this was disclosed. So it's interesting because there was a time when the only person you really had to think about was the person right across the street from the buyer or right next door coming over and saying, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. By the way, did they tell you about the rats? Did they get rid of the rats in the house, right? So now you have people within an 8-mile radius giving your clients free legal advice. Isn't that nice? Okay, so imagine you're driving down the road in your car. You're going about 90 miles an hour in the school zone, right? And a police officer pulls you over and arrests you, right? And you say, wait. I didn't know that you can't drive that fast right here. Do you think the police officer will say, oh, okay, I'm sorry, take off the handcuffs and let you go? No. Why? Why?
They have good of speed.
You should follow the rule.
Oh, you smart person, you. Okay, I have the hot sour candy, or I have a dum dum,
They have fruit
or
candies.
I have Smarties. Which one do you want? Which one?
Okay.
You want Smarties because, of course, you are the Smartie. There you go. Yes, you should know is the answer. Even if it's not posted, you should know because we are required to know the law. Ignorance of the law is no defense ever. So that's why I brought the law. This is it. This is California Civil Code Section 1103. This is the law that requires we make disclosures to buyers. There are things in this law that nobody seems to know about. The first item is that it says this, where the parties have agreed, you're slipping.
I am.
Where the parties have agreed to conduct the transaction electronically, a buyer has a 5-day right to terminate the contract based on the natural hazard disclosure. 5 days, right? So if the buyer's agent receives the NHD today, the clock starts ticking. Buyer has 5 days, okay? The next thing that nobody seems to know about in this law is it reads this, quote, a seller's agent for a seller of real property. Are you having difficulty?
No, people keep like asking to come in, so I was trying to figure out what they're doing. I was like, yeah, sure.
Come on in. A seller's agent for a seller of real property shall disclose to any prospective buyer these natural hazards. So, important. Seller's agent is what the law is saying. It doesn't say escrow officer. It doesn't say transaction coordinator. It doesn't say home warranty rep. It doesn't say office manager. It says seller's agent. So the law is saying who has to do this. And ultimately, if there is a lawsuit, who's going to be sued, right? A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to let escrow order. That way I'm not responsible. Ignorance of the law is no defense, right? So it's saying who's liable. Also in the law, it says this. Sellers and their agents acknowledge they have exercised good faith in the selection of a third-party report provider. Good faith. That doesn't mean choose the cheapest report. That doesn't mean choose the fastest report. It means you have to choose wisely. You have to choose what you would want for you. That's what that means in the law. So let me ask you a question. Is letting the escrow officer order the natural hazard disclosure report 2 days before the close of escrow in compliance with the law? No way. Absolutely not. That's why it's very important to know. This is the next one. Aha, TDS. You know what the TDS is, right? The Real Estate Transfer Disclosure Statement. So if a buyer buys a property and something was not disclosed on the TDS, how much money can the buyer sue for? Cost to repair, cost to replace. That's it. That's the top. That's the limit. Cost to repair, cost to replace. Example. I bought this house and you didn't tell me this is broken. If I knew it was broken, I would have asked for credit during escrow. I would have asked you to fix it. But now I closed escrow. I move into my house. I find out this is broken. I'm going to sue you. How much can I sue for? Cost to repair, cost to replace. That's it. But if something is wrong or missing on the natural hazard disclosure, right, which is required by law, how much can the buyer sue for? The entire value of the property. Why? Because of Easton versus Strasburger. This case is the law. And it says that a real estate broker is under a duty to disclose all facts materially affecting the value or desirability. You know what value is, right? Value is what people are willing to pay for something. But what's desirability? What is that? I'll give you an example. Today for lunch, I will desire a sandwich. What do you desire for lunch today? I know you're not hungry. Okay. A sandwich, I hope.
Okay.
All right. Whatever. Okay, that's an example of desirability. I want to give you a couple of other examples of desirability. So here we go. Wow. If I knew about all these things that affect this property on Estella Drive in Santa Clara, maybe I would not have desired to spend $1.4 million on this house. This property it's in the dam inundation zone for 2 dams, the Lexington and the James L. Lineman Dam. It's close to the Stanford Fault. It's in a liquefaction zone on 4 maps. It has expansive soils that swell and shrink and swell and shrink. It's near the Kaiser Permanente Medical Center heliport. It has threatened and endangered species, the robust spine flower, which is endangered, the crotch bumblebee, the obscure bumblebee, the yellow rail, the western bumblebee, the California tiger salamander, which is threatened. And it's in the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. Maybe I would not have desired to buy this house. Do you know what the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act is? The state of California passed a law that said all of the water under the ground, under this building, under your house, under your car parked outside, the state of California owns that water. So if you have a well and you're pulling too much water out of your well, right? The state will require that you install a monitor. You know the gas, how they come and they check the monitor? The state will require that you install a monitor in your well to report to the state of California how much of the state's water you're taking, right? I know this couple, they have a house and they built a rental in the backyard to make some extra money. And they have a well. and they hooked it up so the rental takes the water from the well. And they got a letter from the state telling them they can only use 2 gallons. They can only use 2 gallons of water per day from the well. Kind of important to know, right? So if I had known about this, maybe I wouldn't have desired to buy this house. I have several other examples. What about this one? This one on Redmond Court in San Jose. Wow. If I had known this house is in a fire zone on 3 different maps, it's in a liquefaction zone on 4 different maps, it's in the Santa Clara County Habitat Conservation Plan, and it's close to a mercury mine, maybe I would not have desired to buy this, right? Does that make sense? Is that demonstrating desirability? And, oh, what about this one? I didn't share this one with you. On Sycamore Court in Cupertino. It's close to 3 faults. The Shannon Fault, the Altamont Fault, and the Monte Vista Fault. It's in the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. It's in a fire zone on 2 different maps, and it's got habitat for the California tiger salamander. Maybe I would not have desired to spend $3.5 million on this house. Does that make sense? Right? This is desirability. Now, I know, and you know, and everybody else knows, nobody cares about this report until the buyer thinks I paid too much, and now I want to sue. And then all of a sudden, all the things that were not disclosed to the buyer become important to the buyer, right? Right? They don't care about this until later, until they want to sue. So I brought a lawsuit that demonstrates that the Natural Hazard Disclosure Report can be a lawsuit for the entire value of the property. This case is called Vandalin versus Sohei. So this lady bought a house, and when she bought the house, she received a property ID report. By the way, who do you guys use in this office? Which report do you use? Ah, okay. And who places the orders? Do you place them, or does somebody else place?
Just go to the title office, the order.
Ah. Okay. What?
Not a compliant.
No, remember I asked you, is letting the escrow officer order the report, does that comply with the law? And you said no. Right? Yeah, be careful. You have to let your title office know, I want this report. You can put it in your offer. When you put an offer, we want property ID. You can do that. So this case is called Vandalin versus Sohei. And this lady bought a house at 32 Marina Boulevard in San Rafael. This is in Marin County. She received a property ID report. In the property ID report, we disclosed this house is in high liquefaction and bay mud, according to the local Marin County map. So a lady by the name of Ziba Sohei, she bought the house, right? She decided 2 years later she wanted to sell the house. Her agent did not order property ID. Her agent ordered a different report from a different company. And in this report, it doesn't say this house is in high liquefaction or bay mud. It doesn't say. It has a local geologic hazards advisory. What is that? So a disclosure says this: yes, you are in the zone. A disclosure also says this: no, you are not in the zone. But an advisory, it does not say yes or no. It doesn't say in or out. It doesn't say, because it's an advisory. This could apply to a property in Brazil or Wyoming or Los Angeles. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't say yes, you're in. It doesn't say no, you're not in. It doesn't say. Here's what it says. It says local geologic hazards advisory. Hey, buyer, you should know that there's soils issues all over the state of California. And if you've got them on your property, buyer, that's bad news for you. But this doesn't say if you're in or out. Buyer, you need to figure it out on your own. That's what this says. See,
where to order property ID?
Where? You see my business card? On the back, there's an email address. That's how you order. Sammy@propertyid.com. SAMI@propertyid.com. That's how you order. Just email her the address, and she'll send you the report. Very fast. So, so this lady, Elaine Vandalin, bought the house, and 9 months after she closed escrow, she filed this lawsuit against the seller, the listing agents, and the brokerage for failing to disclose the properties in high liquefaction and bay mud, among other things that were also not disclosed. So this piece of paper that I'm holding, this is the buyer's lawyer's issue conference statement. This is during the trial process. The buyer's lawyer argued this. Hey, seller, when you bought the house, you received a complete natural hazard disclosure report. But when you sold the house, you provided this incomplete report. You know what that's called? That's fraud. That's the F word. Judges don't like the F word. Judges don't like fraud. Judges can award punitive damages to punish you because of fraud. Guess who else doesn't like fraud? Your insurance. Your insurance doesn't like fraud. So these people were like, wait a minute. So our insurance isn't going to cover us anymore. They're not going to pay our attorney fees. They're not going to pay an award if the judge gives us punishment damages, punitive damages to punish us. We need to settle this case, right? We don't want to go in front of the jury and get beaten up. We're going to settle. So they settled this case. The listing agent paid to settle the case. The brokerage paid to settle the case, right? The buyer, I spoke to her attorney. She got her money back, and she still owns the house. How much do you think this company with their advisory, how much do you think they paid to settle the case? Zero. Nothing. Why? Why? Why nothing? Because they said, wait a minute. We never said you're in the zone, and we never said you're not in the zone. Why should we pay 1 penny? Nothing. It's very difficult to learn the differences in disclosure companies when you're getting sued, right? I have an article here from the California Escrow Association. The attorney for the association wrote this article, and she says, be careful. There's big differences in natural hazard disclosure reports. And if you close escrow with a report that's not complete, you can be sued, of course, from the buyer for non-disclosure. But you can also be sued from the seller because you told the seller, get this, right? You told the seller, get this. So if the seller is suing you, right, the seller's attorney is going to say, why did you tell my client to get this report? Why? Because they brought you sandwiches? That's why? Let's look at the law. Let's look at the law. What does the law say? Does the law say you should choose the report because they brought you sandwiches? No. Oh, I chose this one because everybody uses this one. Really? Let's look at the law. Is that what the law says? We should choose based on the fact that everybody is doing it? Oh, I use this one because the home warranty rep gives me a $4 discount. Really? Let's look at the law. Is that what the law says? No. Remember, the law says you have to exercise good faith and choose what you would choose for yourself. So I know that you guys don't have the time to really look at the differences in reports and compare them side by side, so I did that for you. What these are is one property and 2 reports. And again, one property and 2 reports. So I prepared these for you because I can get up here and tell you property ID is the best report, but somebody else is going to come up here tomorrow and say, oh, well, we're the best report. Because talk is cheap. Talk is nothing. The only thing that matters is what's on paper. Because if you put something on paper and it's not true, you could be sued for it, right? Does that make sense? So I've prepared these documents for you so that you can see this is what this is right here on paper. Please remember this. If anything on this paper is not true, these companies could sue me, right? This morning, they could have gone into the Santa Clara County Superior Court and get a restraining order against me if this was not true. But here you go. This is 100% true, and here is the proof. When you are looking at this, the green, you see the green writing? The green writing represents a disclosure was made. Yes, you are in the zone. No, you are not in the zone. The red writing represents either no disclosure was made or it was wrong. Do you see the yellow area? The yellow area is a lawyer's dream come true. Remember how I said that a buyer can sue for the entire value of the property? The yellow zone. A lawyer can sue for the entire value of the property based on every single line on this yellow zone. So if you were going to buy a house today for yourself, which natural hazard disclosure report would you want to receive for you? Which one? Nobody?
Second question.
If you were going to buy a house today,
Mhm.
which natural hazard disclosure report would you want to receive?
More information.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
The property ID. Do you want, I have a hot, spicy candy or I have a lollipop?
Which one?
Which one?
Hello. I don't see anything, just blue screen right now.
Hello? Yeah, we don't have anything on the screen right now. Sorry.
So usually when we order property ID before buy this property or property before, right?
Oh, immediately
Um,
when you take a listing. You take a listing and you order a report, yes. Okay, so you would want property ID. Thank you. And you don't want a lollipop or a hot spicy candy either. This is good. Welcome. Okay, so I had a broker call me who was very angry with me. He said, Maylana, I'm very angry with you. Uh-oh, what happened? He said, my agent in my office ordered a property ID report for this property on Shire Court in Livermore. In your property ID report, it says it's not in a flood zone. So everything was going really good. And then the escrow officer ordered a different report from a different company. And this report has a flood certificate to guarantee, yes, this property is in a flood zone for sure. And he said, now the lender is requiring flood insurance. The buyer is saying, I don't want to buy the house anymore. And I don't know what happened, but I think the property ID report is wrong. No, I told him. Let's turn together to page 7. Here's what happened. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA issued a letter of map amendment removing this property from the flood zone. It happens all the time. And a lot other disclosure companies, they won't include this information. They don't want to include this information. You know why? Because it's a lot of work to include this information. This company right here, wait, Connie, before you go, have you seen this company?
I'm so sorry. We have listed very open. So I did it to my work.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, no, not me. Like doing your
Good.
story.
Congratulations. Good job. So you see that, have you ever seen this report? Yeah, so this company, here's what they say. A search for a specific letter of map amendment or letter of map revision is outside the scope of this report. If you want this information, you need to contact FEMA. So they're telling you, this report is not complete. This report does not comply with the law, and you need to do it. That's what they say. But nobody reads this, so people don't know, right? And I want to give you an example. Ying?
Yeah.
Ying? Okay. Let's say Ying. She is representing the buyer today to close escrow for 1020 Redmond Court in San Jose. Congratulations. She closed escrow today. Good job. Right on. Ying's buyer, unfortunately, received this report because that's what the seller provided. And in this report, it says that 1020 Redmond Court in San Jose is in a flood zone. So Ying's buyer agrees to pay $3,000 a year for flood insurance. 3 years from now, in the year 2023, Ying's buyer is on Nextdoor. And the neighbor tells Ying's buyer, didn't you know? On December 5, before you bought your house, 2019, FEMA issued a letter of map revision on this property, removing it from the flood zone. They didn't tell you? Wow. I would go after the seller, but go hard on the realtor, because the realtor is the expert and should have made sure this was disclosed, right? Unfortunately, a lot of disclosure companies are telling you, we're not going to do this research. You have to do it. That's very scary. So you should ask for property ID in the offer, right? And you should instruct your escrow officer. I want property ID. Don't order anything else. That's what you should do. That's the wise thing to do. I brought another lawsuit to share with you. This lawsuit is called Safi versus Schmeling. Oh, Fields. Did we talk about Fields? You want to go back? So this lawsuit. No. Okay.
Go forward.
Fields. Go back to Fields. Fields.
Why? I don't know. I have to go back.
Going forward.
I know. Oh, there we go. Hold on.
There it
we
is.
go.
This lawsuit, Fields versus Century 21 Cloden Fornes. This lawsuit, the judge declared when an agent makes a statement, not knowing if it's true, the statement is false. And the 2-year statute of limitations does not apply when there's fraud. And if you make a false statement, that's fraud. So anyway, go to the next one. Safi versus Schmeling. So this person, this gentleman, Mr. Safi, wanted to buy a piece of property, and he wanted to develop the property. And he tells his agent, this is what I want. And his agent goes to the MLS and finds a property that looks perfect, but it reads this in the MLS. This parcel is in an earthquake study zone, but it has had a fault hazard investigation completed and has been declared buildable by the investigating licensed geologist. This report is available to a serious buyer. So Mr. Safi says, I'm a serious buyer. Can you get a copy of that report? So his agent goes to the listing agent, gets a copy of the report, brings it to Mr. Safi, and it goes like this. Here it is, Mr. Safi. Check it out. That's it. That's what he says. So Mr. Safi buys the property, goes to the planning department. I want to get started construction. I need my permits. Let's go. And the planner says, but you can't develop this property. It's in an earthquake fault zone. And Mr. Safi says, well, I know it's in an earthquake fault zone, but you see, I have a report here that the seller gave me This report was prepared by the investigating licensed geologist, and it says, yes, I can develop the property. So the planner says, can I see that report? So he gives it to the planner, and the planner says, but do you see that this report is dated 1982? You see that? A lot has happened since 1982. You cannot develop the property. So Mr. Savvy, he goes home and he files this lawsuit against the seller and the listing agent. They lied to me. And I have proof. I have the MLS. I have the page. That's fraud. I've got them. He also sues his own broker. The judge dismissed the lawsuit against the seller and the listing agent. No, they didn't lie to you. Yes, they did make this statement in the MLS. Go back. They did make this statement in the MLS. It's okay. But they gave you a copy of the report, right? And against the buyer's broker, the court found buyer's broker liable for breach of fiduciary duty and negligence because the buyer's broker said this. Check it out, Mr. Savvy. So you guys are in a very difficult spot, right? Here's what I would do. I would get the report in an email, and I would email it to the buyer. What does the E for email stand for? Evidence. Evidence. Evidence, right? Because a buyer will never remember conversations you had. Never. But I would type these words, which I'm going to email to you when I get back to my office. I would type these words. Pull this up in an email. Hello, my buyer. Attached is the natural hazard disclosure report for this property. Please read it very carefully. If you have any questions about anything in this report, please call property ID and you type the phone number. This is very important. 1-800-626-0106. They prepared this report for you, and they are the most qualified to explain it. Review this report, and then I will send it to you in DocuSign. And I would do that with a chimney inspection, and the pool inspection, and the roof inspection in separate emails. Hello, my buyer. Attached is the pool inspection report. Please read it very carefully. If you have any questions, call the pool company, 408-222-1111. They prepared this report for you, and they are the most qualified to explain it. Review this report, and then I will send it to you in DocuSign. You know what that email is evidence of? Your intent. That's your proof. That's your proof. In the event this ever goes to a lawsuit, you say, look, I told the buyer, this is important. Read it. If you have a question, call this number. And then I'm going to send it to you in DocuSign, right? That's your proof. That's your intent. Same thing is what I would do with this. If the seller, you ask for property ID in the contract, the seller provides this report. I would email, and I'm going to email you this document. I would email this to my client, my buyer, and I would say, hello, my buyer. The seller provided this report. We asked for this one in the contract. We don't want to cause problems with the seller. What I'm going to do is I'm going to order this for you. It's $99. You can pay for it out of escrow. Don't worry. If you don't buy this house, I will cancel the property ID report. You don't have to pay for it. Right? You know what that email shows? Intent. It shows intent. First of all, it's showing your buyer. The seller's agent only cares about the seller. The seller's agent doesn't care about you. I care about you. That's what it's showing. Also, it's showing in the event that this transaction becomes a lawsuit. It's showing, look, I intended to show the differences to my buyer. I wanted to show my buyer there's better information and I can get it for you, buyer. Look, the reply buyer said, no, thank you. Done. It shows your intent. The last thing I will share with you is that I was invited to do a seminar like this. Actually, by the way, you should take a look at this. This is who you use, right? You should take a look at this. Look at this. This is the worst I've ever seen. By the way, everybody's are 1 page, 2 pages. This one, 5 pages of disclaimers. The worst thing I've ever seen is this. It says, the parties in each of them expressly waive the benefits of California Civil Code Section 2778 and 1542 and any other similar provisions. Number one, they know you're not going to read this. Number two, they know if you do read it, you don't know what it means. They're hoping you don't read this. And they're sure you don't know what this means. You know what this means? Civil Code Section 2778 says this. In California, if somebody wrongs you, you can sue them. And they say no. You waive that. Goodbye. Waive it. Goodbye. It also says this. 1542. 1542 is a California law that says if let's say I injured Ying today. Okay, I injured her. But she doesn't know today that she's injured, and she finds out in the future that I injured her. California says she can sue me. And they say, no, you waive that goodbye. If you find out in the future that we've harmed you, too bad for you. This is who you guys use. Be careful. This is what they say. So I was invited to do a seminar like this at an office in Solano County, but it was a 350 agents in the room, very large brokerage. And we had to be in the Opera House because there was so many agents, right? Big brokerage. And I show up and all these other natural hazard disclosure companies are in the room. Imagine you go to a listing presentation and there's 5 other real estate agents in the room. You're like, what are we doing? How do we do this? Different, right? So I went to the broker and I said, what are we doing? And he said, we want to hear from all of you at the same time. I said, okay, well, we can't all talk at the same time. And I have a big mouth. So can I go last? And he goes, ready? Yeah, sure, go last. I don't care, you're all the same. That's what he said to me. Wow. Okay, so one at a time, everybody got up and said, oh, you should use me because my report is the best and the cheapest. Okay, the next one, oh, you should use me because really I'm the best. And my reports are so fast, you get them in 5 minutes. And the next one, oh, you should use me because we have $60 million of insurance. We have $60 million of insurance. I have insurance for my dogs. That's not going to help you ever. What does that mean? We have insurance, right? And so it was my turn. And I said, thank you so much for having us all today here with you. We're all very nice people. We're just trying to get your business. We're trying to pay our mortgage and feed our kids and get through traffic just like you. But you have a fiduciary duty to your clients. The law requires that you exercise good faith and choose the best. Not the cheapest, not the fastest, right? Not your friend, the home warranty rep. You have to choose the best. That's what the law says. So I told all these people that were in the room, I said, please get a piece of paper, get a pen, and write this down, okay? Number one, I promise my natural hazard disclosure report is the most complete and the most accurate in the state of California. Number 2, write this down. I promise if anything is wrong or missing in my report, I will assume liability on behalf of everybody in this room. And number 3, I will deliver my E&O certificates of insurance to the broker, naming the broker as an additional insured. And I said, please take this piece of paper that you just wrote down, bring it to everybody up here on the stage. Ask us to sign it and date it for you. If they do that, use them. But they never will. I know that. But I will email this to you. And this is Property ID's E&O certificates of insurance where we would name you as an additional insured. So do you guys have any questions? Nothing? No questions? All clear? You are for sure you're going to use Property ID from today forward? Yeah. Smarty. Here, Smarty girl. Here, you can get anything.
So is every property that need order property ID report or just for necessary ones?
For every residential real estate transaction, but we do it for vacant lots. We do it for commercial. We do it for probate, of course. We do it for every kind of transaction. For those of you who are not here, go next. Well, we don't have my information, but I have my business cards here. On the back of my business card is the Director of Customer Service. Her name is Sammy Brazil, but I will email you guys, okay? So all of you that are not here, do we have their business cards?
I didn't see any.
If we can get their email addresses so I can email them. I'm going to email you this Sammy's information. She can get you the report in 2 hours. On the front of my business card is me, and I invite you, whenever you have any legal question at all about natural hazard disclosure, you please call me or email me, but do not call me or email me on your divorces. Please. Any more questions? Please.
That's us. That's Property ID.
PID is us. Yes.
You mentioned that it's $99.
It's $99.
Same
Yes.
price as
Yes.
All the
Yes.
costs are
the, how long
$99.
it takes
Yes.
to,
If you email Sammy, she can get it to you usually within 30 minutes or 2 hours. But the
This is
reason
your
why we don't
company.
do it
This
in
is
5
another
minutes
one,
is
right?
because we research. Yeah. We actually do research the report. Right? Does that make sense?
Is that we order from you directly or through escrow?
You can order either way. But if you have a transaction coordinator or an escrow officer who regularly orders for you, send them an email and say, I want Property ID from now on. Or you can email me and we will send you the report and we can send it to escrow if you like. It just depends on how you prefer. If you say, oh, I always want Property ID, then you got to let escrow know, I always want Property ID.
so it'll be the same cost. Either
Always,
e-order
yeah.
or go to
Exactly. Exactly. I really appreciate you having me, and I welcome you anytime. If you have more questions that you didn't think about, you want to feel free to email me and feel free to call me. When I get back to my office, I will email you these comparisons. And I will email you that language in order to send to your clients that shows your proof that you try to get them all the information and that you email them the report and say, read this, it's important. Because a lot of people, they don't take the time to do that. And I know this, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because the number one question I'm receiving right now is people closed escrow 3 months ago. And during the Christmas break, they finally got an opportunity to read their papers. And they're telling me I finally got a moment to read all my documents, and I only received the 1 page of the report. And my next door neighbor told me that there's like 75 more pages. And I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, that's true. And they say, oh, my agent doesn't have the report. Can you email it to me? You know how dangerous that is? So this is why it's so important that you send the report. Read this, guys. If you have a question, call this company.
So I have one more question for you. Is that you guys only do for Bay Area or all Californians?
All of California. In fact, we do for the country, all of the United States, depending on the state and depending on the disclosures.
Okay, I leave my email address at the chat box. Please send me email. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time. Maybe send a sandwich.
Yes, you
Please.
have, because we are company mostly.
No. Where's her email? She says she left it in the, I don't know where.
I did not.
Yes, I'm gonna grab a sandwich for sure. Yeah, definitely. I have 2 cards. And Connie, did you give me your email address?
Yeah. I give you. Oh, yeah. And my how to say, my business card. Yeah, we have
address.
Just explain briefly.
Yeah, it's in the chat. Just click the chat, so you will see all the emails. We have a couple of the people leave the emails there.
Can I have that green file, Lauren? Please. I'm going to show you, so that way you have a crystal clear understanding.
It's stuck.
Okay, this is easy. So, here are the 2 reports. Okay. Okay, of course. So,
Please let me know who sent the chart.
so
Hello.
for FEMA,
Hello, yeah.
not in.
请问刚刚是谁发的 email
Say
呀？
properties.
不是发 email，在那个 chat，click the chat button，然后你可以看到很多 email，很多学员都有留 email 在那里的。
他是谁需要 email？抱歉，我刚进来。
没有，你要看那个 Jerry 的那个 computer， 它的上面那个 chat box 里面有，或者你发到那个群里面，那个微信群里面也可以，你把他名片拍个照片发出来也可以。
看到 email list 了，是你们要他的明信片对吗？
对，要他的名片、联络方式。
你把那个
You didn't
他们的
print
明
it. So
那个
it's not
business
in.
card 把
Okay, not in, not in. All right. So that's what that
我们知道，我们等会儿就发到那个公司的微信群里面。
Okay, formally.
好的，谢谢。
客气啊。
在那微信群里面。
They say it's not, but it is.
哦，我以为是这个。
I'll show you.
这里也有 email， 看 email list。我刚刚不知道你们要他干嘛，这些都是他们的注册的 email list，你看。
I can just take a picture of it with my phone.
It is.
Yeah.
So
Currently we
the
have
property is within
control
1
of
mile of the
we
Naval
have
Air
access
Station
on what the
field
companies
and the
we
Sunnyvale
have.
That would be
Ordnance
awesome.
Yeah.
Depot. They say it's not.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
这个能
you.
不能拷贝啊，或者拷贝到哪里？这个 email。
可以。
这怎么拷贝啊？
拍照吧。
拍照。
Yeah, that's why the listing
谢
agent
谢啊。
may use you if you ask in your offer property ID. And if they say no,
好，谢谢你，我是康妮，我会把他的明信片发到群里面，好吧？公司的微信群里面，好，谢谢啊。
The seller ordered this report. You see, this has more
Yeah, I
information.
will
I'm going to order this one.
Oh, let me get out of your
And
way.
if the buyer says no, don't do it. You keep
I
the
can
buyer
take pictures.
answer
Do you
saying
have
no.
a business
'Cause that's your
card, just
evidence,
like
that's your proof.
external?
I tried to get more.
I
from
do
the
not
buyer.
have a
Buyer said
business
no,
card.
no.
I can give you my email.
If the
though.
buyer says yes, you order the
card.
property ID report and you give it just to the buyer. You don't have to give it to the seller. This is protecting you.
So do you have for this card?
Of course.
Yeah,
An
you send it to me
electronic
because right now they want to.
I texted it to you.
Oh, you text me?
Yeah. Connie, you see?
Just this. Oh, not like my
No.
business card. No, you don't have business card just like
No.
me.
I didn't see. I tried opening your business card.
No.
Yeah.
No, she's
Sorry,
asking if we have like an electronic card.
Electronic card, just like
Business card,
me.
which we don't-
I said
we
that
don't
they
have
wanna
those.
just like my business.
No,
card,
but you know what?
don't
When
have
I email you, all my information is going to be there. Yeah, no, I just sent you my contact information.
it. Yeah.
But I can
Yeah,
take a
okay,
picture.
Just take a picture.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You feel comfortable?
Okay, so this is the way you,
Print another one. And also make sure like the NHD isn't there on that one. I don't know.
I checked yesterday and it was all there.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. This is here. Yes. But not that one. The
如
JCB.
果按照这个地址的话，是
如果我们用这个 C 了，它现在假如说处理后，那处理就是吧？
对，他是这么讲。
Yeah, I will send it to we have WeChat group, so we'll send it your electronic card. Yeah, they wanna.
Thank you.
你 disclose 人不找你啥事，找你
Let's
啥？
see if
那你这个我们可
someday
以，
you
假如可
really
以
have.
disclose，
Well, company
可以
most is
扣零。
Chinese agent.
Yes.
Yeah, have some English not good.
Our
Especially me.
our vice president is Chinese.
Oh,
Her name is Nancy Lee.
So your name is Lauren?
And she speaks
That's
perfect Chinese.
That's me.
Yeah, this is Lauren.
Milana is the attorney.
But yeah, I've called her and said I need translation.
这个的话，
Yeah, if next time you have more agents will
比较简洁一
是
些。
他家地的。
他是他的，
will online
他
this
的
your
上面的
presentation.
话，
Yeah, only 我马上发那个表在表格上，好吧？在那个微信群里面，你们可以看到他的联系
虽然
方式
它是。个小米这样，他跟你先说了是吧？
大家好，我是康妮，我会发到那个微信群里面，好吧？你们有
好的，好的，谢谢 Connie，
谢谢啊，再见啊，谢谢。
再见。